Hey everybody, I'm Steve at PAX East 2016. I'm joined by Don Wologrowski from AMD, and we're going to talk about CPUs. So before we get into that, all this coverage brought to you by CyberPower PC's Fanebook and other hardware which we've recently overclocked. More information, links below as always. Don, let's start with the newest announcement here today, the Wraith coolers. So what's happening on the Wraith front?
Well, we had a lot of positive feedback about the Wraith cooler, obviously, really a discrete class cooler. And so because of that feedback, we're including with two more processors today. That's the FX6350 and the FX8350. And the 6350 would be a new, like the most accessible now at the same price as it currently is with the Wraith cooler.
Is that the same for the 8350? Is the price different?
Yeah, they're both going to track about the same as they are today. So on Newegg today, a 6350 is about $120. The 8350 is about $140, $150, so expect it to come into market about those prices.
Very cool. And then the 880K we just recently benchmarked. So that's the, why don't you give a quick spiel, let everyone know.
Sure, the 880K comes with essentially it's a Wraith cooler without the shroud and the LED. So it's really extremely capable hardware. That's a cooler easily capable of cooling a processor of 125 watts, and that 880K is only a 95 watt processor. So you got a lot of nice headroom there for guys who want to push it further and in that class of hardware.
Right, some overclocking. One of the interesting topics for CPUs these days, of course, Dx12, Vulkan are changing things a lot for the industry. What, on the multi-core side, how does Dx12 benefit CPUs specifically, and what should we look forward to with regard to that?
Well, I think by now everybody knows about multi-threaded command buffering and Dx12 and how it's finally truly we got some really multi-threaded game engines on the horizon, and we're starting to see. I mean, we saw the 3D Mark Farandel sort of showed some what we thought were pie in the sky ideal benchmarks, and then we saw Ashes of the Singularity, and we're starting to see like, wow, that really does bump performance up in some cases almost twice as high, right? So really exciting there. We've got a ton of new titles coming over the next month. I'm not the ISV engagement guy. That's Peter Ross, so I forget which ones I'm allowed to talk about. I'm not going to say any game names. But
I know one you can talk about. I know that Total War Warhammer
right.
is Dx12 enabled.
Right, and that's one of many coming out, and we got a lot of really positive CPU performance uplifts out of there. So the cool part is all the people with these. I mean, AMD's been on top of more cores for a long time. So in theory, the guys who bought 6 and 8 core AMD processors a while ago are going to see this awesome free boost in performance, and it really makes it relevant in 2016 and beyond, having these lots of CPU cores, which is great, right? Like that's kind of cool.
Right. So a lot of that is just from moving the draw calls to the GPU, I guess, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on under the hood in Dx12. It's just not specifically draw calls, but it just does a great job of moving those resources to all the different cores.
So then on the front of Dx12 in the immediate future, with you're saying more cores should benefit things. I know CryEngine is capable of running 8 threads, and then other engines I think we've seen as well, working with AMD and other vendors, are finally supporting additional threads in the immediate future, it looks like.
Yeah, it's a really bright future. I mean, no one's going to say that DirectX 12 isn't going to totally dominate gaming over the next couple of years. It's pretty obvious, so it's kind of nice to be in that position and have all these multi-core processors just ready to go.
Let's do a quick Zen question here. Is there anything that you can tell us, or timelines or anything like that?
I'm not allowed to say anything more about Zen, except that it's very exciting to be on the team that's working on the stuff that's going to really change the game over the next while. And we will have more news this year, obviously, and it's very exciting. Really good stuff coming. So I think people will be really, really happy to see what we have on the table.
Very cool. So more Zen news later this year. We'll definitely be covering it as it rolls out. As always, links to the description below. Thank you for watching. We'll see you all next time.